Hello and welcome to From the Wings. I'm Stephanie Freed, and I am so glad to have you here with me today. We are about to announce and share information about our new Ensign-Daring New Voices program. And there is so much to talk about. I am delighted by the guests we have coming on today. But before we get there, as always, I'd like to recognize Webster Bank. Webster Bank is our official presenter of the From the Wings series, and we are so grateful to Webster Bank for its loyal and generous support today and always. Thank you, Webster Bank. So you may be familiar with our talent development programs, from our Ensign-Daring Vocal Fellowship to our Noah Webster Jazzitions program, which the Jazzitions program works with young elementary school students, getting them ready to be part of middle school and high school jazz ensembles. And as I mentioned before that, the Ensign-Daring Vocal Fellowship program, which we've had since 2002, as you can imagine, the last 17 months has been really challenging for those programs. We haven't been able to be in classrooms. We haven't been able to go to schools. And for the fellowship, we haven't been able to provide that one-on-one vocal coaching, like in-person vocal coaching, or the rehearsals with the students together. So it was a time of reimagining over that last closure, the 17 months I mentioned. So there's a lot more to share about the establishment of the original program, and there's even more to talk about as it relates to the evolution of this program and where we are with it today, which I'm really excited to talk about. But before we do that, before we get into that conversation, I have a little something special, a little preview for you, and we're going to talk more about it, but it's a snippet from the culminating virtual concert that our 2021 Ensign-Daring Vocal Fellows created. So we are premiering this concert on YouTube and Facebook this Sunday. So Sunday, August 29th at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube, like I said, and we can't wait. So you can set up your Facebook to remind you about the premiere, or if you miss it, I don't know why you'd miss it, but if you miss it, you can always watch it after in both places. So without further ado, let's get your unique, special little sneak peek at a snippet of the concert. Here we go.
Don't you hear a little whispering in the air? Don't you hear it saying, stand up, time to care? Don't you feel a little tingling in your soul? Well, now the time has come to take it out of cruise control. Don't you see that there could be another way? Don't you see that this is so not okay? We could change the situation. We could shake the foundation, oh yeah. Into fire we are hurled. We're gonna change the world. Come on, 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 come on. Don't you want a little taste of victory? Aren't you sick of all this mediocrity? Don't you want to stand tall, being all that you can be? Finally take control, control of destiny. Follow me and say goodbye to what has been. Follow me and we are so gonna win. We're gonna change the situation. Come on, come on, come on, come on. We're gonna shake the foundation. Come on, come on, come on, come on. We're gonna change the world. Come on, come on, come on. We're gonna change the way things go now. Come on, come on, come on. We're gonna smash the status quo now. Come on, come on, come on. They're gonna really get change the world. Come on, 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 come on.
All it takes is a little sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Nicey, nice.
Why even bother if we know we're gonna lose?
Sit down, Debbie Downer, 'cause girl, I got the news. Women from like long ago have shot their legs and just said no. Hands with history. Now it's your turn to pledge with me.
Right? I want it to keep going. I'm sitting here hoping I can just watch the rest of the concert. It's just amazing, y'all. And if you've been to one of these concerts in the past, we used to hold them in June. It was often on Father's Day weekend. You know what a departure this is, and it's so exciting. And when I think about those students, they've just been through so much, as we all have, over the last 17 months. So to see what they did to put this concert together, it's just so special. So let's get to it. I'm thrilled to welcome my guests today. We have Yolande Spears, the Bushnell's Senior Vice President of Education and Community, and Ariana Valdes, an EDVF alumnus and the mastermind behind this year's virtual concert. Welcome, Yolande and Ariana.
Thank you.
Hello, thank
Good to
you.
be here.
I'm so excited to have you guys here. It's been a crazy last I can't believe nearly 18 months, 17 months. So, Yolande, as I think about that sort of remarkable time, what was it like to both celebrate and graduate this current Ensign class of Ensign-Daring Vocal Fellows? Can you tell me a little bit about that, a little bit about the last year and what it's been like for you and the fellows?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. But let me start with,
Sure.
I want to thank the Darling family. They are the reason why this program existed. And it's because of Robert Ensign-Daring, who was a trustee of ours, who was a successful businessman, who was also a vocalist. He was in his choirs. He believed in young talent. And so we would not be able to do this program if it had not been for Bob Darling giving us the gift that he did, the generosity he did, so that we could take one of the gifts he had forward for young people. So I want to thank him and the Darling family.
Absolutely.
And yet this past year has certainly been challenging, but yet we looked at it as also full of opportunities. And because we were in a place where we regret that we could not do a 2020 concert in June of 2020 because we were all in the pandemic. And, I also just want to say thank you to the 3 students that were the seniors then that we're going to acknowledge at some point, sometime this year. But yes, it was a challenge to think about now, what do we do? And so in thinking through that, there had been conversations about how we might be able to consider the program taking a different route. And so we contacted Ariana, and in speaking with her and talking with her, asked her if she would consider at least starting with doing some master classes for the 6 fellows that were left for this year, because I wanted them to know more about her experience since she graduated in the very first class, her successes, but I also wanted them to know more about the industry. And I wanted them to hear the truth from someone as talented and as young as she is, that they could hear what's really happening in the industry as they thought about their futures. And so that's when we started that. So I started talking with her about it. We talked about what it might look like. I had mentioned to her that I knew I wanted the end result for the new concert to be more personalized, more about the individual students, not so much about what we want them to be. And so we started with master classes in the late fall, early winter. She continued with that and then doing some coaching. The coaching was tremendous, which we heard from the students as she got to know them personally. And for that reason, that allowed us to think about the program and how we could move it forward. And then she just took it from there, established the repertoire, matched the repertoire with the voices of those students. And from there, we just went off to the next level.
Yeah, it's no surprise, right? They're the amazing people involved that we were able to take it to the next level. And just quickly, when I came to the Bushnell 13 years ago, my very first trustee meeting, Bob Darling, I think, was the first trustee I met that day. And what a wonderful man, what a warm spirit, and his legacy everywhere, but here specifically at the Bushnell is pretty important to us and impressive, really, in what he's established and what continues to evolve. And, Ariana, you were in the first class of fellows, and you are familiar to our Bushnell patrons and donors and folks who pay attention to what we're doing, both on our stages and on social media, because, am I right, you were here as Mother Superior in Sound of Music?
I was for one night only. I had
One
the
night only.
privilege of understudying Mother Abbess on the tour, and it just so happened to work out that I got to open our weekend of performances as Mother Abbess, which was really full circle.
I love that. And you've been through this time of closure, you've been so generous working with us in different pieces of content we've created around our After the Clouds the Sun campaign, in different little social things we've done. And you, I know that you and I are only just getting to know one another, but you've really stayed in touch with the Bushnell since your time as a fellow, which is just terrific.
Yes, it's been really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. So great people making great art. Tell me a little bit about when you were putting the concert together. So, I hear Yolande's perspective, what she was looking for going in. What were your primary objectives with that thinking? What were your primary objectives, both artistically and then in terms of the fellows' individual, personal, and artistic developments? What were you trying to do there?
Yes. So when Yolande invited me to come join just for a masterclass talking about what the industry looked like through my lens and my experience, that was a really interesting time to evaluate that kind of thing in the first place. After having so many months of uncertainty in this business and not being sure of what was happening next, it gave me a lot of time to reflect on what was important to me as a performer for myself and the things that I've learned throughout my career. And in connecting back to this program that really was pivotal in starting my transition into being a professional artist, professional vocalist, I really assessed a lot of the things that were positive for me in my training, but also things that kind of made me question what I was doing in this business and trying to figure out where I fit in and how people perceived me. And I think one of the biggest differences now, and that has been shifting over time, but this year and a half and then some has given us time to reflect on even more, is really meeting people where they're at in life and who they are and how they represent themselves and how they choose to identify. And when I got to speak with the fellows in our first masterclass, I got to share a lot of that. When I had the opportunity to continue working with them in more masterclasses, I made a point to really focus on getting to know them outside of just their lovely voices and just listening to them sing, because I already knew coming from the program that EDVF has had years of talented people. So that's not a question. My question was more, who are each of you and how has the world during this time affected you, and how has that affected the kind of performer you are and what you want to do on stage or beyond the stage. So in those master classes, which eventually led to me being able to be invited to direct this concert, we were singing music that wasn't necessarily traditionally what the program focused on. And I would have classes where I asked them to sing a song that was like a dream role. And it didn't matter if it was a role necessarily that they could play this moment tomorrow, but I did ask them to come with things that they thought were reasonably like where they could see themselves in the next phase of their lives, rather than, my coming in and saying, oh, you're this type and this is what you should sound like and this is how you should sing and this is your look and that sort of thing. And that's something that in my education, I've gotten a lot of influence of, you're supposed to be in this world as an opera singer and this world as a musical theater singer. And I wanted to just break away from that because personally it's been kind of frustrating to only think of myself in each separate compartment. And
Sure.
I want to keep encouraging them to connect more to who they are. So we found repertoire and music that was relatable to who they are in their age, maybe more literally than traditional music that would have been assigned, and even beyond musical theater. While the concert, I would say, really highlights some of the great musical theater repertoire out there, I think that audience members will notice that perhaps some of the songs are songs they've never heard, and that's partly due to the fact that I think we sometimes take what we're used to in the theater canon and the music canon, and we worked together. I worked with each fellow to really think outside of the box and find what really worked for them each, and then through that we created this kind of storyline and connected these songs together to hopefully tell a story and paint a story about who each of them are as individuals, but also to showcase the thoughts and feelings of the people we're around as well.
I hear lots of things in what you're saying, but one of them is the importance of them as young artists knowing themselves and understanding themselves outside of their talent, understanding themselves as a whole person. And I think, gosh, getting that gift, getting the ability to explore that as a young person is, it's just terrific, and informs them as they move forward in performance, or frankly, just in life, right? If we could all understand ourselves better and pay attention, not to what people tell us we should be or who we are, but to who we are. That's pretty great. Yolande, this is a pretty significant departure from the past, from folks standing in evening gowns and tuxedos on the stage in the crook of the piano, singing old classics. What did you learn through this, and how has it inspired you as you think about the program's path forward?
Yeah, it is definitely a change in terms of from the path. And for me, I mean, I love storytelling, and I always have. And I love storytelling a lot with the written word, but I think storytelling continues just to amaze me as an audience member. When you can take the time to focus on the talented young people, and when you focus on them and you find out more about their story and their stories, then I think it really takes the storytelling in a very more authentic and sometimes deeper connection as an audience member. So for me, that's what I really learned as I watched them sing what they wanted to sing, with Ariana's amazing coaching, her listening to them. As staff members, we were watching this. What I noted in the rehearsals was how much they trusted her. And with that trust, how they could then take risk to go even further with their art that then they may have never done before. Because oftentimes we may have young people, we want you to dress like this and stand like this, and this is the song we want you to sing because it's a song that we want them to sing. So what I loved is during some of the master classes where Ariana would have them come to master class thinking about what they wanted to sing for each other, including if they had an instrumental background, they could do that. And I thought that was really interesting because master classes I normally had witnessed for many years was, here's what you're going to sing. This is what's best for your voice. Here's how you have to stand. Here's what you have to do. And it was still quite good. The students were talented, the repertoire was good, but this just had more spirit, more soul, more authenticity, more of really just who they are. And I could see them as they are more than what we wanted them to be. That's what I really learned.
What incredible growth that you must have witnessed in those rooms. And, I hear, Ariana, and they trusted Ariana, and Ariana was so great. I know, Yolande, that you have a very special announcement that we're making here on today's program. Do you want to go ahead and lay it on us?
Well, yes, I do, in fact. Drum roll. Thank you. Yes. The Bushnell is just delighted that we are naming Ariana Valdes as the new artistic director for the Ensign-Daring New Voices program. And we are happy to have her. It's, for me, full circle. I can remember meeting her as that young high school young woman. And of course, she's still young and gorgeous today. But meeting her then, watching her grow then, but now to have her come back full circle, to look at the direction and to work with me as my partner to move forward with what is this new direction? What do we do with all this talent that's out there that's just waiting to be found? And she is definitely the person for us now in this place where we are now. And I want to thank the former artistic directors who did a wonderful job with us, for us, all those years. Ellie Ellsworth, Joanne Scaregood, what she's done for us. Lynn Vardaman, who started with us when we initially started the program.
Okay.
All the things that they did with young people, and they taught them the business and where we needed to go. And so it's just we're delighted that now Ariana is the new artistic director for this new direction and this new era. And we're very excited.
We are very excited with you. This is wonderful. And we love, Ariana, that you are now officially part of the Bushnell fold going into this new year, for sure. So what was it like when Yolande asked you to take on this role? What did you think?
When she asked me to do this initially, or to even consider the thought of it, I'll be honest, I didn't think it was something I would be able to do. In so many ways, originally at the time when we even brought it up, again, it was a time of influx and figuring everything out in my career and wondering, what's going to happen next. But what was especially important at that time was that I was ready for a change, and I was ready for just an opportunity to help reflect the world I hope to see and work with people in a way that helps them develop on a deeper level. And so being able to be a part of it, I know that I'm ultimately going to continue getting to learn from this program, the program that started teaching me from the get-go. And now in this kind of magical way, I'm still getting my lessons, but now as an adult.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. This is so good. Okay, so great vision, great program, great foundation. We're moving ahead. I know that all of us watching, listening are chomping at the bit to know, for the young, aspiring, talented artists we all have in our lives, how do they get to be a part of this new vision, this formerly Ensign-Daring Vocal Fellows, now Ensign-Daring New Voices? How do we get to participate in that as a 15 to 19-year-old high school vocalist? How do I get to do that?
Well, 15 to 19-year-olds are in luck because they can go to the bushnell.org/EDVF website and submit their materials for consideration. What we're looking for is even beyond maybe what you'll see in our concert, which was just the beginning of trying to explore beyond what singing can look like. We are interested in seeing singers who have strong voices, no doubt, but also who are interested in exploring beyond that and being creative, whether it's incorporating dance or gymnastics or American Sign Language or spoken word or monologues or writing their own songs, singer-songwriters, because we're hoping to, culminate in even more creativity for our next end of year concert in the spring. And so we just want people who are interested in pushing themselves out of their own boxes and maybe the standards people around them have taught them, and just people who are interested in storytelling and being expressive and having fun and learning from each other. And just people who are ready to be inspired and inspire each other and others.
Awesome. So as you said, all that information, and folks, don't worry if you weren't able to write all that down, you can go to bushnell.org/EDNV for more information. You can also find it on our social media. We'll be posting a lot about this over the coming couple of weeks. Can you, for a person who applies, can you give them a sense of what kind of training will now be a part of this program?
So that's one of the really cool things I think about this next phase of the program, is that we are working to meet each singer, like I said, where they are at. So that might change depending on the individual. So, one singer might have had years and years of private vocal training with a teacher. And so the way we evaluate what they need might be different than somebody who's never had a voice lesson in their life. And so we're going to be working with each of them to just figure that out. And even beyond voice teachers, we'll be having special guest artists come in to work with them. And we'll be doing things that are not just about singing, but will influence the kind of artistry and the kind of opportunities they can find within their own talent to explore.
The whole artist, the whole person, and what they bring to it. We are almost out of time, but I have a question, Yolande, that I'd like to ask you. As you've been insanely busy this last 17 months, but I know you've had opportunity to think about what's next with all of our arts and education programs. And, we're talking specifically about EDNV here right now, but what are you most excited about as arts and education and talent development at the Bushnell moves into this new period?
Well, I'm excited about a lot because we have so much going on at the Bushnell, and we are supported in so many ways by a tremendous board, management team, our ambassadors, the broader community. There's so many people that see the value of arts education, the value of how you can use the arts and creativity to turn the light on for so many young people that often just need someone to notice them, just to know that they're there, to hear them, to hear what they feel, what they think, what they want to write, what they want to do. Do they want to sing? Do they want to write? Are they composers themselves? So I think about the program will address a much broader community of artists, as Ariana was indicating. It will be a broader artist, a view of the vocal artist, and we want it to be more culturally diverse as well as artistically diverse. So, we will, of course, the heart of it will always be vocal, but also, whether it's classical with opera, musical theater, which is what has been our kind of two pillars in the past. But now as we open it up for those artists that are interested or that sing rhythm and blues or pop and rock or gospel, country, right? Latin international music. And so there's so many opportunities to bring in all those new people, to have them come under the Bushnell umbrella, under the tent, as a part of our continued community, and to move arts education and talent development forward. And so we're just very thrilled and happy that Ariana will be our partner in doing that.
Yay. Well, and I want to reiterate something you just said. As we put out this call for auditions, as we invite the community to apply, the Bushnell, and I know the two of you specifically, but the Bushnell on whole really encourages folks who are Black, Indigenous, people of color, people who are LGBTQIA. We want a diverse group of folks coming together to learn from one another, understand one another, and get involved in this program. So those of you listening, keep that in mind. Reach out. Folks, this program is for all of our communities, and it is inclusive.
And that guarantees the richness of the programming with having all of those wonderful people in our community come into this with us.
We are all better for understanding one another.
Yes.
Well, this was a delightful conversation. You two are among my most favorite people. So thank you so much for taking this time and joining us. And we will see you both again very soon. And don't forget the premiere Sunday night, 8:00, Facebook, YouTube.
Yep. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So as we wrap today's conversation, as always, and as we approach this exciting reopening, which we are like a minute away from, y'all, September 11th, it's so soon and I can't wait. But I want to be sure to note that we continue to depend on private support. We're especially grateful for the continued commitment of of Webster Bank and our intermission partners. On your screen are many of our current corporate and foundation supporters, and it's thanks to their generosity and the support of our individual donors that we're able to continue our work to bring the very best in arts education, talent development, as we talked about today, and the performing arts, both virtually and live on our stages and in our classrooms. And of course, your support through giving, subscription, ticket purchases. It all helps to sustain us and ensures that we are here and able to welcome you back now that the time is right. I hope you'll consider renewing your gift or making your very first gift in support of that work today by visiting bushnell.org/donate now. And as always, please make sure you're signed up for our e-club so you can get all the latest news and information and our Friday curtain call emails, which are awesome. You can sign up at bushnell.org/e-club. And don't forget, the Ensign-Daring Vocal Fellowship 2021 concert premieres this Sunday, August 29th at 8 p.m. here on either Facebook or YouTube. And for those young vocal artists in your life, auditions for the new Ensign-Daring New Voices program are due by Sunday, September 12th at 11:59 p.m. I so hope you'll share that information with young artists in your world. We really want to hear from them. And finally, I also hope you'll join us for our next episode of From the Wings on Thursday, September 9th, featuring a conversation with Eva Price. She's a Broadway producer. It promises to be super interesting as we explore her work with shows like Jagged Little Pill, the revival of Oklahoma, Hip Hop Nutcracker. She's done everything and so much more. But until then, take good care.